Hello and welcome to this very special show. These days, apart from the word recession, slowdown and financial crisis, if there is any one other thing that is the buzzword of town, it's Nandan Nilekani's new book. So who better than the author, Nandan Nilekani? For once, you have stepped up aside from Infosys, not talked about management. You're talking about ideas which everybody has, but nobody puts it to work. How will your ideas get to work? What are you expecting people to react as?
Well, I think, what I've tried to do is create a framework of ideas, because I think we have talked about a lot of these issues, but it had to be sort of woven together into a sort of a pattern. And that's what I've done with this. And I have 4 kinds of ideas. Ideas that have brought us to where we are, ideas that we have agreed upon but not implemented, ideas that we argue about, and ideas we need to anticipate. And I believe this framework creates a safety net of ideas which people can use in different ways to drive the change that is required.
The 2 bits that he said, ideas we have not implemented and we continue to argue about. Do you think India is too much about that, lack of implementation and too much of argument?
Oh, yeah. Clearly, the ideas that we have not implemented is all execution failure, in the sense things are taking much longer. Examples of that is primary education, infrastructure, urbanization, and the single market, where there's no argument that we should have these things, we're just getting it done. But I think it's equally important that we resolve the ideas we argue about. Because when you argue about something, then you're not even reached implementation stage yet. So first we have to resolve the issues and then get those ideas also into implementation mode.
Where is India losing it, you think? Because I'm sure you would have tried to identify, look, this is the game plan now. You want, let's say, policymakers to react to it. So what's the game plan? Everybody has ideas. You put it on paper. Now, action doesn't happen, you will be most disappointed, won't you?
Yes, but see, the way I see it is that's why I call it as a safety net, because I feel that, if this book comes out, a lot of people read it, they absorb it, and, they may disagree with me. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and you're ready for that.
I got my armor ready. I'm all, because they'll say, who's this guy, software guy writing on, politics, sociology and all that. So,
I'm sure that won't be the criticism. It would be more about, so what is he doing?
No, that will be part of the criticism, saying I'm venturing into some other area. But the point is that I think that this safety net will, if enough people, and I do intend to talk about it, I'm going to talk to young people about it when I go to colleges and all that. If more and more people sort of get onto this idea framework bandwagon, I'm hoping that itself will act as a way to move the system. Because my whole point in India is that things don't happen top down. It's not like a dictatorial situation where somebody says do this and everybody jumps and does it. Here people have to be convinced, and everybody is very argumentative, like Amartya Sen said. Everybody has a point of view, everybody has a billion opinions. And I'm hoping that these ideas will sort of get seeded into that whole cauldron and mix it, and something will come out of it.
Why the historical reference? You've talked about Nehru, you've talked about how the BPO industry changed the entire thing by the use of English language. Why the history? We all know the history. What are you trying to extract out of it? Because you also said we maybe went wrong with the socialist model at that time.
Yeah, no, I think history is very important, because remember, I'm tracing the history of an idea in the Indian psyche, and therefore we have to see how the idea was treated by the Indian psyche, and therefore we have to trace it through history. So I had to bring in a lot of history into it, but it's also about the future. It's not just a history book. It uses history to show the point, and then it projects that points into the future.
Let me just take a shot at criticism of it. You said maybe we should have not adopted that socialist model. Maybe a bit of private sector love would have helped us then. Do you really think we had the capacity to create wealth and absorb wealth at that point in time when people didn't have slippers, toothbrushes? The poverty levels were that poor and abysmal.
No, I think certainly, I think if we had brought in some amount of market liberalization, freedom a little earlier, we could definitely have accelerated the growth. In fact, I make a point which, again, I don't think anybody has made, and I'm sure people are going to say.
That's why it is different. That's why the book is a bit different.
My point I make is that if you look at the Asian countries, they also had a single party system. In Singapore, you had Lee Kuan Yew's party, in Malaysia and all that. And they practiced a mercantile economy where they didn't allow foreign competition. They allowed domestic entrepreneurs to thrive. They had a cheap currency. They exported. And in fact, they were able to consolidate their power for many years because of that. So a lot of these countries still have single party governments.